and stuff like that, like being in the loop, it feels like has been so impactful, more so than basically any other patch, at least, where I feel like just knowledge and playing 10 hours a day is very, very important for like being in the know. But at the end of the day, it's also not really much of a gain.
I agree with you. I think that more than ever, if you have sources of information, multiple sources of information, then you just naturally find out about things that are important quicker than other people. And especially if you're ahead of the game on Wowhead. If you're ahead of the game on something before Wowhead posts it, you know you have good sources. And that's usually the best point to be at the beginning of an expansion so you can get the gear.
Oh yeah, it's like my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
No joke though, I've actually I've been sending people y'all's YouTubes. I'm like, just watch whatever they post, like my more casual friends. I'm like, check out what they post and just go farm that until it gets fixed, and you'll be like on top of the game.
Yeah. I don't know. It would be the kind of thing that like I would have a pretty big problem with it if this was like the mythic equivalent item level gear that was, if this was how you got that, right, was like learning the right farm, doing it for the day before Blizzard nerfs it, and then it, you know, and then anybody else can't get it, right? Like people that have 380 plus gear from Trial of Elements and Trial of Flood that now has been nerfed, so you can't get that. People who got their Rathian farmed in 6 hours instead of 10. People who got their Cobalt Assembly farmed in 30 minutes instead of 2 hours, right? Like,
It's too far away.
if that was the difference between being mythic geared and being not mythic geared, I'd have a big problem with it. The fact that it's the difference between being like 380 and being 370 coming out of this week, that feels like a big deal right now. It feels like it's a really important thing to have done, but like by next Thursday, you're not going to know from looking at a character which one did all this stuff. If somebody could have 50 extra hours of playing this week versus 5 extra hours of playing next week, the person who does 5 extra hours of next week play will be more geared as a result of that. So
I think for me,
it is
just
weird
so
though.
Weird. Yeah. I feel like I just generally. Okay, so I play the game a lot. I feel like I generally don't know what the hell is going on most of the time, and then somebody is just like, "Oh, did you hear about this thing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, they just like link some rare or some item, and it's like, "Oh yeah, this one's just been discovered," and then and it's big 382s. Yeah.
I think it's funny, like I'm not even into farming rares. I haven't really done it hardly at all. I'm 376, which is probably above average, but like lots of my guildies are 382, 381, you know, way up there with like maximum potential, full rep on Rathian, full rep on Maruk, Renown 25, stuff like that, you know. And I'm like,
yeah.
This is pretty funny to like watch them all shift to what they're farming immediately when new information comes out, and it's just like an information war. Like imagine this kind of expansion without the internet. There'd be like 3 people doing these farming things, and everybody else in the world would still be 370 or 371.
I mean, you wouldn't even be able to connect to the servers.
Real. Because we have the internet.
Yeah, no internet. But yeah, the Wowhead effect of like Wowhead article comes out, and then that part of the world map just the dragons like swooping in. Yeah. Like where
so
that
funny.
Yeah. New super rare
What's
discovered.
even more funny is that Blizzard nerfs it almost every single time, like a few hours after the Wowhead post. Just that is the best part.
Yeah, the super rares haven't been nerfed, but almost all the others, like the Obsidian Key, the Cobalt Assembly rep, Dirt,
Trial of Elements,
Trial of Flood, those have all taken nerfs. Yeah, the super rares though, those got a tweet from the World of Warcraft account. So
Siege on Dragonbane Key.
Yeah,
farming Dirt.
Yeah, now some of these, like, to me it seems like the part where rares had no loot lockout and were fully tradable gear, obviously that had to go, right? Like that was just giga weird. The part where like shard hopping Siege of Dragonbane Keep was the best way to do that, like being in a raid, clearing it really fast, and then shard hopping, clearing it really fast over and over again. That part was also really weird. That part should have gone. All the other stuff I don't think the other stuff should have gone. I think I think it's worse to have those farms be in the game and then remove them after a day or two so that only the people who learned about them first get the gear from them. I think that is generally bad for something where it's like, oh, this Trial of Elements, we think the item level is 8 item levels higher than it should be. It's like, okay, if the item level is 8 item levels higher than it should be, that problem gets worse, not better, if you make it so that only the people who got there first get to keep those items.
We have a tinfoil hat theory in our guild about like what happened. So during the beta, like
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say pretty late into the beta cycle, but like later into the beta cycle, they rebalanced M0 gearing. They rebalanced a decent amount of like the gearing sources, like how much item level you were getting. And we think that they didn't rebalance like world quest drops, like reputation stuff gained, like drops from rares and stuff like that. So they're dropping approximately 10 item levels higher than they should be, because previously M0s were giving like 382 loot. But now they're only giving 372 loot, then that's gonna be a problem,
I
right?
need to get closer.
Yeah, they were
I swear
382
that's
on the
That's
dungeon
got to
journal
be correct.
early.
Because
yeah.
why would they make Mythic Zeros not the pinnacle of loot before the season starts? You know, like maybe I could see like maybe the Cobalt Ring or one other item being higher than M0, but only like by a few item levels intentionally. I swear the rest is completely unintentional, and it just got scaled out of proportion, and then they had to keep it because too many people had that high item level already.
Yeah, I am also fairly confused about how it worked, but again,
Do it all behind the wheel of a capable new Kia SUV. Whatever your next adventure, the award-winning Kia lineup of SUVs can take you there. Whether it's the top-of-the-line Telluride, the ultra-versatile Sorento, the fun and functional Sportage, or the compact and rugged Seltos. Make one yours during the season of giving back. Click now to view our inventory.
it's like, it's the kind of thing where if this was an important system, I would be pretty upset about it. But the fact that like jockeying for position here means you're plus or minus 3 item levels, that makes it important for like Race to World First guilds. It makes it somewhat important for guilds like our guilds, but like it doesn't. It means absolutely nothing at all anywhere below that level, and that's like, that makes it a lot less of than stuff like Korthia Rep or Torghast farms, where it's like, oh, this is like really important for, you know, anybody that's trying to do any heroic plus content.
It matters for like 10 hours on the first day, like while you're going into raid the first time, maybe, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the only time
Yeah.
it really matters.
And there are, you know, there are some guilds that matters for, right? Like that, you know, that means an extra. I mean, that could mean the difference between world first and world second, right? Like that's big for Echo and Liquid. It's not big for much else. Yeah.
I swear it only impacts the top like 20 guilds in the world that are going to step into the raid immediately without farming anything else first and doing weeklies or Mythic Plus, you know, or normal raid even. And everybody else will have those 8 hours, 3 hours, even if you're coming home from work late in the day before your raid, and you'll probably just get the gear within that time period that you would have got these first 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you'll still, like, some of these things you'll still be wearing for the first couple of days, probably, right? Like if you farm Rathian Cloak, that's staying on you probably for first couple days, unless you got a lucky cloak drop where you're pushing up above 16s and farming a bunch of keys.
It's 398. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think you're gonna be wearing that for a little while.
That,
Yeah,
that thing
I don't know.
maybe doesn't survive the whole week, but it survives a bit.
It
But
survives a day or so.
yeah, I mean, it's not like you'll drop
I
something in
didn't
all
farm
14 of your slots in the first day either.
people in the top several hundred guilds will be able to do 15s very quickly. I think the average player might get up to 15s by the end of the week, you know, and a lot of people will be farming 20s as well pretty early in the week, maybe
Yeah.
midway through the week.
20s are gonna start to be difficult, because like if you don't have like full tier sets and stuff like that, like you have to have item level to be able to compensate. Like we were able to do it at 392 on the beta, but we had tier sets to be able to compensate. If you're like 400 item level or whatever, then you'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of thing where it's like, it's possible, but it's from players that are like rank 1 title level M+ players that were doing
Yeah.
that on beta at that item level.
Unless you're Zenki abusers, which in that case
Yeah.
are not able to do it.
Well, those people, yeah, of course, they don't have Shrouded Hero, so.
Oh, it is worth mentioning though that you get the same loot, end of dungeon loot out of 19s as you do 20s. So you actually only have to farm 19s for 4
Yeah,
bucks.
although Great Vault's better from a 20, so you want to do your
Yeah,
8
you wanna do
20s if
120.
you can. But
Oh, yeah, you're right.
yeah,
I guess you want to do 8.
if you can.
There's no shot you're doing
Yeah.
20s.
Okay, we have seen another change coming in that is regarding the BOE items from the Mythic Raid in the first few weeks. When Vaults of the Incarnus raid opens next week, enemies inside will occasionally drop bind on equipped loot as in previous raids, which it's actually, it's not just from the enemies inside, right? It's from like the mini bosses specifically this year, I think. but
yes,
yeah.
they did change that.
It's like loot-locked mini-boss loot that drops a certain amount of BOEs, but in Mythic Raid, they will be bind on pickup instead for the first few weeks. Once a few weeks have passed, we'll revise the items to drop as BOEs, but it will not change already acquired soulbound gear back into BOE. Only the new drops will be BOEs. So at some point, presumably, I guess after the Race to World First, maybe after another couple of weeks, that will change again. This has different effects on different levels of play. It means that in the Race to World First, the gold spent on BOEs is going to drop, although buying Socketed and Avoidance Heroic BOEs is still big value. Those things are still going to be worth quite a bit.
Yeah, why not block Heroic BOEs for a few weeks too? I don't get that.
I thought, whenever I first read this, I thought they were blocking all BOEs.
Yeah.
Well, because when like a regular player runs a raid, getting a BOE drop and being able to sell it on the auction house is like a big part of it. I don't know. That's like
true.
That's what those things do. That's why they're there. But then they're targeting just the mythic means that it doesn't hit too many people that, you know, like in those guilds usually the BOE drops are done by the guild anyways, not by the person they drop for.
Do you think that buying gear like that off the auction house is healthy?
Any painter can paint, but only CertaPro painters come with power. The power of the team who knows what they're doing. The power of dialing up the wow factor to 11. The power of living where you live and liking the same coffee shop you do. The power of being the talk of the cul-de-sac or the office park. If you want certainty, you want CertaPro painters. The power of pro. Start your project at CertaPro.com.
Step counts don't shave time off your miles. Data without direction doesn't guide you forward. And what is your wearable tracking if it's plugged in or on the sidelines? Engineered to be worn.
I mean, when it's
Just
Mythic
generally for the
BOEs,
game, right?
yeah,
Like-
the Mythic BOE, it does make the game awful. You could say pay to win or like sales incentivized, very incentivized to run Mythic sales as a guild to stock up a guild bank to be able to make these purchases. Yeah. So I like the fact that it's going to mean there's less stuff to spend your gold on as a guild.
I mean, I think that with the profession revamp, this makes sense, right? Because professions, like, they're looking to push professions to be more impactful long term, from like gearing options. And I mean, one of the ways that they can do that is by making professions more impactful early, and like not allowing people to have mythic BOEs like this is one way of being able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if there were BOEs, you would wear profession gear and BOEs, not instead of.
Yeah. Depends
Yeah.
on the situation.
Yeah, like the profession gear is looking real good either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too
There are a
far
couple
away.
of theoretical cringe ways that you could farm mythic BOEs, depending on how this works. So,
What do you mean?
let me spin you a tale of how... First of all, let me spin you a tale of how the mythic BOE farm could have worked when they were BOE. You kill Aranog in a group of 20 mains. Let's say that unlocks 2 or 3 mini-bosses that drop BOEs. You bring in 20 alts that are good enough to kill mythic trash, which is not a high bar. They kill those lieutenants, then they zone out, you get those BOEs, you soft reset the raid, you bring in 20 more unsaved alts, you keep doing that. That was a way to do mythic BOE farming with lieutenant loot, assuming that lieutenant death status wasn't saved on the lockout, but per character instead, which I think is how it's usually been done.
That's how it has been.
Yeah. Then that would have been a way to mythic BOE farm at the price of, you know, unsaved alts getting saved to your lockout. Now instead, the fact that it's bind on pickup, what you can do is 20 mains kill Aranog, 2 mains and 18 alts go and kill all the lieutenants. Then you zone out, swap in a different 2 mains and a different 18 alts, kill all the lieutenants, and you funnel all these now bind on pickup loot drops from the lieutenants to those mains in each of the runs.
So, do you think that Echo or Liquid will be doing this?
I mean, if that works, I think it's a good use of time. I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
It's better than killing. It's literally better than killing. It's as good as killing mythic boss.
yeah, I mean, you get a lot of gear. You get a lot of gear from doing that if that works. So, the solution to this would be to save the mini bosses to the lockout rather than to the characters, which would also have the upside then of us not having to kill the mini bosses again every time we zone back in to a raid on the next raid day. So that would be kind of cool. But if it doesn't work that way, then I think this would be a way
You would
to
armor stack the splits too.
You wouldn't armor stack, no, you would... Oh, wait, do BOEs drop for armor, or do you think they just drop from a pool? Yeah, that's a good question.
BOEs previously only dropped from armor, right?
Yeah, then you'd armor... You would either do an armor stack or, like, a split of opposite armors, depending on which type it was, yeah?
It's probably group loot, right? I would assume it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I assume it's like group lootable or tradable like inside of the raid. If you're eligible to get it.
If it's not tradable within the raid, then that would fix the incentive to do this as well. If you couldn't, if it was completely untradeable gear, but that would also be, that would lead to bad feelings when it just drops.
Can you imagine
normal groups or not normal?
Hypothetically,
but like regular builds?
Can you imagine us trying to cast trash?
Trash splits? Oh, I cannot just imagine that. I'm actively rooting for it. It would be fun.
Rooting for it. I hope that I'm asleep at that point where we're casting trash.
I want to be the person who gets to explain that to the Twitch chat about why they're doing that.
Well, the first time, yeah, it's fine to explain to Twitch chat what the hell they're doing. The seventh time they zone back into the raid instance is the point where your mind kind of melts.
I'll pull out a whiteboard and we'll list all the BOEs that can drop and be like, here's the ones they're going for, you know, here's what they're hoping to see.
So, let me write this down. We need a whiteboard.
Yeah.
I've heard
markers.
I've heard there will be potentially ways of doing that. We'll see. We'll see.
Great. All right,
Those are my favorite moments to tune in to you guys casting, because whenever you're doing some like really degenerate casting, like the 5th hour of casting trash in a row, I tune in and you're just talking about the craziest stuff. Like all topics have been crossed out. You're just at the bottom of the barrel, just talking about literally anything possible. It's so funny to me.
Halandras broke us both. I'm pretty convinced.
Last year was so good for that because we got there, you know, on like the 6th or 7th day when it was the 4th day of Halandras, and then the race continued for another 11 days. Generously just.
People are just like, how do you even keep talking about the raid? I go, I don't know. I haven't talked about the raid in like 10 days.
Yeah.
Still recharging. Holy warriors, giver of life and light. In your divine radiance, we trust. Shield our souls with grace, our hearts with hope, and guide our path eternal. Turn our gaze from what lies beyond your luster, where wickedness dwells and the shadows reign. Arm us with your golden splendor, so that together may we vanquish the darkness. In light, we walk.
Well, you see, yeah. Okay. In other news, the World Quest situation has been one that has received and then reverted a change before it went live. World Quests currently this expansion are largely on a bi-weekly cadence, but there are Pet Battle and War Mode World Quests that are instead on a daily reset. But the bi-weekly ones, Blizzard made a post that said we're going to change this, and we're actually going to bring it over to dailies instead based off of player feedback. And then they made another post about 10 hours later that was like, upon further review, we're not going to do that, following feedback and internal discussions. They want to avoid making world quests feel mandatory, but they still want to offer them as a worthwhile option for players who are looking for things to do on a given day, but they're going to try and find other ways to accomplish that without impacting crafting too much or generating a great deal of concern for those who don't already have or want a daily routine.
I actually really like the fact that they walked this back. I think that, like...
Oh, yeah.
World Quests don't feel like very satisfying. I think that World Quests being on bi-weekly is totally reasonable. Like, World Quests are the most fun at the very beginning of the expansion. Beyond that, World Quests are kind of meh content just generally. And I think that like them being on a bi-weekly cadence for the first, I mean, we had it for like a week and a half, or we had it like for a week and then they announced this. I was like, I really like the fact that it was on bi-weekly cadence. That seemed, it was a lot more fun that way.
It's just so much more flexible for everyone with hard time commitments that they can't get around. Because I remember in BFA when they first started doing this, where there'd be like an 8-hour World Quest starting at like midnight or something, and there's no way I was gonna be able to do that, and it was super important to do for player power. And I was like, well, that's just kind of unfair, you know?
Yeah, Legion had those with the Warden Towers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. But I was gonna ask, like, what feedback made them change it back to daily at first? Like, where did they hear that, you know? Like, every feedback I saw before that on Twitter or elsewhere was like, we love bi-weekly World Quests.
Yeah, so I imagine that this comes from people who did their World Quest swoop or whatever, because that's kind of like something that is obvious to do when you open up your map, and then they finish that, and then there's nothing on their map, and then there's nothing on their map the next day, and then there's nothing on their map the next day, right? And they're like, okay, I want stuff to do. And I actually sort of empathize with this. Like, if you think about what we're doing without World Quest swoops, right, is like, we're doing hunts, we're doing flying around killing rares, right? Like, we're doing AFKing the community feast. Like,
AFKing the hunts.
These are sources of the same thing that people, that come from the World Quest, right? Of like, rep, largely, right? Dirt farming.
Yeah,
these are
true.
like sources of rep, primal chaos, 372s, 376s, 382s, right? Are those things that we're doing now better or worse than them being World Quests instead? I think I'd prefer it if it was if World Quests were available more commonly instead as well. But I do get, like, the thing about the World Quests is there's a large set of people that will feel bad if World Quests expire that do not feel bad if they haven't killed Gnarls on a given day, right? Or they haven't killed Cauldron Bearer or whatever his face is. Despite the fact that it's functionally the same thing, right? Either way, you're missing out on a little bit of rep, a chance of good gear, that kind of stuff. But the one of them makes people feel bad, one of them doesn't, so that's why there's this kind of pushback about having the World Quest reset fast.
I actually think that Mr. GM had a great tweet the other day. He was talking about the Primal Storms, and he was asking basically why the Primal Storms weren't released. I feel like that would have been something that should have happened on expansion, just the Primal Storms be released, because for one, I mean, he outlines in the tweet, basically it's like the gear for the Primal Storms is going to be obsolete basically on launch, and on top of that too, like there are like crafting profession recipes and stuff like that are gated behind the Primal Storms that it's just kind of weird that they're not unlocked right now. And it's like, I think like the Elemental Lariat recipe and stuff like that is gated behind it, and so you're gonna have to go and do that after like all of the content unlocks. And it seems like now would have been a great time to be doing these storms. It's like that's more optional content that you could be doing like for fun, right?
That would have been nice this week, I think. Yeah, and also the Elemental Lariat is like the embellished Jewel Crafter neck for those that don't know.
Yeah, it's when you hear embellished, it means the crafted gear can but does not always have the unique equipped embellished 2 tag. So everybody can wear any amount of crafted pieces, but you need the sparks to make them, and you can only have 2 that are embellished. Some come pre-embellished, which the Elemental Lariat is one of them, and others have embellishment slots where you can but don't have to put in your own embellishment, most of which seem kind of bad compared to the ones that items like Elemental Lariat have by default. So
I think like the only like real good one for DPS is like the potion. Oh gosh,
yeah, there's potions last 50% longer.
Yeah, that's the one. What's it called? Yeah. Hold on, let me. I'm finding the name.
My potion absorption inhibitor. Is that it?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, the potion inhibitor. That's exactly what it is.
Is that engineering? Which one is that?
I don't know. You can put it on almost any slot, but I don't know who crafts it.
Yeah, I mean, I know for Moonkins you want like Lariat plus like potion inhibitor on ring.
Yeah, there's like a weapon one that's like physical. If you're dealing physical damage and you can embellish your weapon to do more physical damage or something. So
Adorned Fangs, yeah.
Yeah, that one might. I don't know how that one sims or anything, but yeah.
There's the arcane weapon proc that I know sims decent, like really high on single target and starts to fall off on AoE.
Do you know what that's called? I know that my best is called Bronze Grip Wrappings it drops from the raid, so I can't get it yet.
That's the one, the Bronze Grip Wrappings.
Yeah, that one's like super bis for a lot of melee, I assume.
Well, was turbo bits on single target, right? And it just falls off an AoE because the proc isn't that great.
Sorry guys, I gotta recraft my gear between each of these bosses. I gotta change the embellishment. Sorry guys.
Can you proc an inspiration proc?
Yeah.
Can you proc an inspiration procs? I need to get this quality 5.
Yeah.
Speaking of embellishments, is there a list anywhere yet of all the embellishments? Does anyone have that?
There's the craftable optional reagents, or the ones that are just like from the pre-crafted gear.
I guess all of them, since they're all in the same pool of two maximum, right?
So you can kind of look at it if you look at the Spark of Ingenuity Wowhead page, and then you see all the things that are crafted. Like you can mouse over and see like, okay, this one's pre-embellished, right? It's got an effect. And then like this one doesn't have an effect and it's got a add embellishment spot. But you can't actually see which embellishments go on this slot. But if you click through on that add embellishment, you can see all of the like crafted embellishments.
Oh, that's nifty.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a page.
Although it looks like this doesn't have... Oh, actually, it looks like this only shows the ones that would go in there. Yeah, because this doesn't have the weapon ones. So, yeah.
I think that it's important to note that, like, what Dretna said early on, though, about, like, all of the high item level stuff requiring Spark of Inspirations, but not all of them having embellishment effects is important to know, because, like, especially early on, you're going to want to have embellishment effects, like, be some of the top priority of things that you are... focusing on getting.
Yeah, your first 2 or 3 sparks, right? 3 if you're gonna make a two-hander. You probably want to have embellished effects on, and then after that you can recraft the embellishments onto different things and turn those items into base items if you want a new embellishment, but you can't add a third embellished piece.
This crafting system confuses the shit out of me.
It is convoluted, that is for sure, yeah.
I hope it's good for people who enjoy doing professions long term, because I sure as hell do not understand it.
Yeah, I've been trying to understand it recently, and it's been... I don't know. I will say it's like... It is kind of cool for there to be a system with this level of depth to it in the game, but yeah, it is a lot. And there are some things in there that are just like the fact that you can't put a minimum quality on a public work order is really frustrating. I think that's a huge inhibitor to people using those.
There was somebody, I will not name names, but somebody was requesting a Spark of Inspiration craft of a piece of gear, and they just slammed rank 1 quality on it and took the commission.
I mean, yeah, that's what you do in the public work. If you don't do that, somebody else is going to do that immediately afterwards. Like the way the public work orders work is if you can hit start order, you're going to do it, right? Like there's no
you're
reason
just gonna
not
hit
to.
start order, collect your commission.
Yeah.
I'm taking my plus whatever 5 crafting on JC.
Yeah.
May as well.
Yeah, it's set up in a way to heavily incentivize that. And I get like the whole like providing your own reagents thing. I think providing all the reagents always in the public orders makes sense, but I do think that you should be able to require a minimum quality.
I agree. So I 100% agree with that.
All right.
I think something else I should add to that while we're on the topic is being able to do multiple of the same crafting order in one click.
Yeah.
So like if you want 9 of crit verse gems, you have to make 9 different crafting work orders, which I did yesterday. I was like, really? This takes forever.
Yeah.
And you can't buy the gems on the auction house. They're BOP now, so you have to work order them.
It is too far away.
That is a huge pain. Huge pain indeed. And the goal is to, like, by introducing that friction, they make it so that everybody has to, like, find a crafter, right? And, like, that, I guess, is a good thing, but... Man, I don't know. It is really annoying at the, like, when you are hitting create order 7 times or whatever. It's a huge pain.
Oh, also, are y'all's servers, do they have lots of work orders on them?
Like, there's very few. The only public orders that stay up are the ones for, like, recipes nobody has yet. Other than that, the work order, there are way more people trying to craft than there are people creating work orders. Which... It's because there's the weekly quest to fill work orders, but there's not a weekly quest to put up work orders. So maybe Blizzard should add one of those too. Like if you're an alchemist, it's like, hey, put up some. You know what? Why don't you work order some of these leatherworking things for our alchemy guild?
I feel like they may also need to do this in the future where they shard together a few servers worth of the work order system, because some servers are just barren on the work orders.
Does your server suck?
I mean, all
Yeah,
servers are
it's-
like that. It's not a population thing. It's like a ratio problem, right? It's every server just has way more people that are, trying to hit start order than there are people that actually have a demand to craft any specific item.
What are your guys' guilds doing? We're doing almost all of our crafting in-house. We have people set up to craft very specific stuff, and it's like we're doing basically all of our crafts in-house. Are you guys doing that, or are you guys trying to source some of it from the public?
Yeah,
We're doing it in house, pretty much everything.
we have a sprint sheet. We got all of our crafts lined up. Although we're collaborating with some friends and stuff on server, making sure that we've got all our bases covered.
Far away.
Yeah.
This is actually a really good plug to guilds that have multiple raid teams. Like my guild has a ton of people in it because we have 2 raid teams that do pretty well in Mythic, and that way we have lots of crafters.
Yeah.
My guild's got a lot of people
Recharging.
who enjoy crafting professions.
All right, we also have some news about Twitch drops, which are beginning on Twitch in
can't loot
7.5 hours at the time of recording this, but if you're listening to this later, they're already happening or potentially already over. Twitch drops are beginning
I'm
with
out of
this
range.
Gear Up for the Race to World First drop. This is a really long time to watch as well. So it's from December 9th to 13th, and if you watch for 8 total hours, you'll get a pet for the first 4 hours and then a mount for the next 4 hours. You have to click claim on the pet before you can start earning credit towards the mount as well. So make sure you do that. And then you can get both of these nifty little cosmetics. They do come from anybody that's streaming WoW in the Twitch, like in the category World of Warcraft, as long as they haven't like opted their channel out of drops, which means that basically any streamer in the WoW category is going to
Yeah.
have these drops enabled.
This is really cool.
Then,
Wow.
on December 13th at 3 p.m., that drop will end, and a new drop will begin called the Race World First drops for this Perpetual Purple Firework toy. And that drop will run for the next 2 weeks, and it will only be available from basically any streamer from Liquid, BDGG, Echo, Method, or Version. So the Race to World First guilds and BDGG, Method, and Aversion are all eligible to watch for.
Holy shit! What the hell?
Dang.
This is the new From
Shots
Software,
fired.
right?
Are all
Was there-
eligible to watch
was there-
for.
What is the reason for this violence on our show?
And yeah, you can see the huge list here of each of these, but it's basically anybody in any of those guilds. Not their like, I guess there's just any of the people rating in there. So that will get you this firework toy, and that one is 2 hours only. So
I saw some drama surrounding this, right? Because initially the firework toy was announced as like select streamers are going to be able to have this firework toy drop, and we didn't really know much more about it than the select streamers. And now it comes out that the select streamers are only Race to World First people, and then some content creators I've seen are upset that it's only Race to World First people that have this drop enabled.
yeah, first of all, I think it was pretty reasonable to predict this. If you were like a content creator like looking at the drops and they were like, there's this one for anybody in the category, and then there's this one for anybody who signs up, and then there's this one, details TBD on that later, and it starts on the same day as the Race to World First. Like,
Pretty cool.
okay, yeah, it's pretty obviously going to be a Race to World First drop. That being said, I think if you just look at this, like, in terms of hours, there's a pet and a mount
Gundam Souls?
that you need to watch
maybe.
8 hours within 4 days
I don't know if
for,
they're gonna show gameplay.
and anybody in the category can get that. And then there's a toy that you need to watch 2 hours for over 2 weeks, right? Like, which of these is going to lead to more views in the category, right? From people looking for this. Like, by far the bigger push here is going to be the pet and the mount. You have to watch 8 hours of streams over only 4 days to get that, right? That's 2 hours a day. Whereas this one is like 10 minutes a day for a toy instead of a pet and a mount. So I would say like this one's a way bigger drop. The ones for anybody.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. The drama stemmed from the fact that it's just like all of the viewers are already consolidated in the Race to World First, and it's like why do they need more? But I think that this is actually a pretty good way of incentivizing and helping promote the Race to World First without directly getting involved with like becoming a broadcast partner for the Race World First on Blizzard's end. I think this actually
Yeah, that's actually pretty smart. That is smart. They just like gave them a little behind the back gift to the Race World
Yeah,
First.
exactly.
Yeah, and because they were doing that drop, they then felt like they wanted to help everybody as well. Like they added in after the fact this drop, this like big drop before the Race World First, the gear up for the Race World First one. That as long as you're able to stream during those days, I'm pretty sure if you're not a Race World First streamer, like this is still going to be plus money for you versus the other way around. Because like you said, the Race World First already eats up a lot of the views on Twitch. I mean, it does depend a little bit on what kind of streamer you are, but Purple Firework Tours, it's only 2 hours over 2 weeks that, you know, that you're going to lose to those marginal viewers that would maybe go to watch a different stream because of the drop.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't stream during the Race World First anyways, because the whole entire section is basically just Race World First viewers. It is not worth streaming, at least for how I view it. It's like not even worth streaming that much anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I still usually hit start streaming during that time, but it's definitely like just you know,
Just for fun.
yeah, it's
Everyone's definitely watching the race.
the race is the big thing that's going on then, and yeah, I think that this is a positive for pretty much everybody, like any sort of viewer or streamer. I think the one downside is like maybe those 8 hours are going to be rough for people. Like watching 8 hours over 4 days this one might be one of those drops that you actually should make sure you like AFK drop it if you're not going to be around at your computer for these days. Just leave your computer on a WoW stream on one of these December 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. To get the.
It's also such an awkward time
Yeah.
period because that's the 4 days before the season
Yeah.
starts are like the most dead, contentless days there are of WoW. I feel like.
Very, very
Traveling most of those days. I don't even know if I'm gonna stream really.
I like it.
I mean, I wasn't gonna stream at least the Saturday, but now I'm gonna. Stream's gonna be on all day. The people gotta be watching for 8 hours during that time frame.
Travis gonna hit
Yoink.
the ad break button on CD.
That happens automatically. I'm too stupid to remember to press that button.
Well, Dratnus is not a man of the people. We'll run the
Yeah.
manual ads on top of his auto ads.
Oh yeah. Whew. We gotta milk the people before they all those fickle viewers leave for the Race to World First streams.
Unloyal.
Yeah, disloyal. I hate them.
Stream it? No, I didn't stream the game.
Anyways, let's move on to our tip of the week before we move into talking about our Vaulted Incarnates. We just got a couple of like grab bag Vaulted Incarnates topics to cover. My tip of the week is, and I sort of alluded to this earlier, since 50 hours of gameplay this week is worth less than 5 hours next week, you should look for activities you can do now that aren't in World of Warcraft that will save you time in World of Warcraft next week. For instance, doing your laundry, taking a shower, you know, cooking some extra food, doing some meal prep, going to the grocery store. Any of these sorts of activities that you can do once and then not have to do them for all of next week. These are good ideas to do so that you can then have more time when there's actually M+ and stuff to do.
Tro, should we tell him?
Yeah, I think you're supposed to take a shower during the Race World First as well, Dratnos.
You can bank
on
them.
camera.
You can bank them.
In fact,
Every
in
time it's like
It's like the Alchemy Transmute CD thing. You can do 10 days at once, and then you're good. You're good for 10 days.
Your shower does not blow up when you are doing the alchemical.
Oh,
whatever
mine
it's
sometimes
called.
does.
Speaking of which, how many times have y'all alchemy blown up on you first try? Mine's
All the
0
time.
times.
I'm alchemy level 25, and I just got enough points in the thing to give me the potion. And I stopped doing alchemy.
I'm Alchemy 100. No big deal. Because
Yeah, I too
oh, me
can
too.
read a guide.
I cheated on the first day or the first couple days when that worked.
Wow, I'm
Yeah.
reporting you.
Yep.
You probably had a bunch of liquid courage saved up too, huh?
Yeah, I went over to the Western Plaguelands. I was looking to see if there were any quests I could accept there that would make it better, but couldn't find any.
Oh man.
Dude, by the way, we missed this. We didn't really talk about this. I cannot believe that people who got banned for the aiding the Accord quest didn't get their items removed. It is unbelievable that they didn't get their items removed, and
Wait,
they've actually yes. There is a lot of people with screenshots of them just having 402 items.
Yeah, so
Oh my god.
you can have a 405 item, honestly, right now, if you've done a renown grind. But the 402s, I think, only came from that bug dating the Accord stuff, right? I guess maybe you could have one from an authenticating the Accord if your character is turbo juiced right now. But
They
yeah,
only got 3-day bans too, right?
yeah,
Yes. And
So-
didn't get their items removed. Really?
yeah.
I am the knight.
Yeah, my
I
tenfold
am
theory
Batman.
extends to that as well. I think that to revert that many items to
doesn't sound like
to change them in their
Batman to me.
databases would just like require something that they don't have or something. Maybe that's why they didn't do it.
Yeah, like,
You remember
I
the
just-
beginning of BFA when people
I
were
don't
able to
see
loot
that.
their
That sounds
chest
like
and they
Alfred,
reverted all of those
not
items?
Batman.
They definitely can.
Oh, they did? Okay, they do have
you-
that technology. Yeah, you're right.
You remember that? Whatever
I do
BFA
remember that
launched,
now.
the chest,
The weekly
like,
box,
you
the
did-
M plus box,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If you did a key at
Thank
the
you,
last week of
Captain.
Legion, you just got loot in that cache.
Yeah, you had
Yeah.
like a monster piece of loot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember
25
people
What's this here? Let me read
putting it
this.
in void storage, hoping that would make it dodge the revert that they knew was coming.
This is a tribute to the actor
Well, it
who
did.
died, I think,
Yeah.
OG Batman.
You just didn't need
Okay,
void
so yeah,
storage.
he's a much older guy.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's really cool for them to do that. I had
yeah.
no idea. All right, yeah.
Okay,
that
that's
totally
beyond me
changes
then.
the
Maybe
rest.
whoever
Yeah,
had
he's a
that
much older guy.
script
Yeah, I was
in
like,
for their
man, this guy
database
seems like
just
way
doesn't
older.
work there
Like,
anymore or
fuck,
something.
how's
Who
he gonna be
knows?
Batman? Okay,
It's
that
always
makes
kind of
sense.
inconsistent with things like that, like whether or
first
not there'll
voice
actually
actor for
be
Batman.
a rollback.
Botus dissed a Batman voice actor?
Next
Alright.
time I hear about something like that, I'm abusing it.
Well, that's not a good decision for you. Like you don't want to get on Blizzard's bad side. It's a good decision for like non-content creators, but
Or something.
How's he
Who
gonna be
knows?
Batman?
さあ全人類よ世界を闘争で満たせ
Cool. Do these games even have a story? Like, I don't even know.
頼むぞ風待ち
Yeah, they do? Really?
お前を殺し
I thought it was
全
like
てを終わらせる
I thought it was like how porn has a story.
俺の血を引いていながら
I
こ
didn't
の
know it was like a
程度
legitimate thing.
風
I thought, yeah.
俺はまた守れないのか
I mean, this looks pretty cool. That's cool. Yeah. I still need to play that one Star Wars game. I think it's called Fallen Republic or something like that. And people said it was a lot like Dark Souls. I still need to play that. Fallen Order? Yeah, I want to do that at some point. Because I've only heard positive things about that game. It's on sale for $5, so maybe I should get it. Sekiro? Yeah, well that's Sekiro.
Not still recharging.
I don't think we need this anymore. Yeah, let's go ahead. We're gonna take this.
Need a target. I can't loot that. I can't cast that yet.
Bruh. Man, shut the. What the hell are y'all talking about? I'm not even in Discord. I'll get in Discord with McConnell once we get in Discord. Talk about this game since I'm saying. I always forget. It's all the way down. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. See the Warhammer one yet? Who's this? Is it Darth Vader?
I can't loot that. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that. That spell isn't ready yet.
It's already inaccurate. You see
But
that?
I just won't. I won't.
stormtrooper?
I
He
won't.
hit,
Talk,
like,
I won't
two
talk about it.
Okay.
This is not really.
Fair enough.
Ah, crazy thought. I just won't say
Yeah.
anything.
All right, I'm refreshing your armory every day. If I see anything weird going
Yep.
on there, I'm writing a report.
You know, write a report on how I'm low rolling my gear.
I'm calling the police department. All right, Trell, what is your tip of the week?
I had a lot of good ones this week, but I settled on one, and this is the add-on called By the Way Quest. It's just BTW Quest. If you download that, you can see all unfinished quests on the map, and even if they're not on the map for whatever reason, it'll list them in each zone for you, and on the add-on menu, and so you can see like where all the side quests are if you're trying to do Lore Master or just get all the rep, because each quest gives you a bunch of rep for whatever faction.
What can I get for you today?
And I even started doing this on my main. I hardly ever do side quests, but this has been really helpful for just tracking them all down.
Yeah, this is. So you don't want daily reset world quests, but when you've done all the world quests on your map, you're going and hunting down side quests just to get even more of a hit of the joy of questing. I don't know.
Well, for me personally, it was after I leveled 5 characters, I kind of got bored of leveling, so then I actually did some extra activities on my main.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Tuttles, what's our clip of the week here? We've got.
All right, I changed my clip of the week to a tip of the week.
Okay. Cool.
I got a nice item. I've only ever seen this rare one time, and the one time I killed it, he dropped this item, and as you may notice, it does not have stamina. And similar to the Nullhide belt, this item does not have stamina because it has 3 secondary stats. I've only ever seen this rare one time, and I got this piece of loot off of him. It is
okay.
a one-handed strength mace.
It's Fenran in Thaldraszus. This is a Titan Watcher guy. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, what item level did this drop for you at?
372. It's still in my bag. It's not fixed yet.
Okay. Yeah, so it is, as you mentioned here, like the Nullhide belt, which was a leather belt that didn't have. They fixed it. They fixed that one, but it didn't have stamina. It had an extra secondary instead.
Yeah,
that
that's the
item
belt
would have been.
Dranos was
It would have been
secret
this.
from last week's podcast.
It would have been this for through at least heroic of next year. That thing would have been this.
Well, this is a weapon, so.
Then maybe whoever
Yeah,
had
he's a
that
much older guy.
script
Yeah, I was
in
like,
for their
man, this
database.
guy's- I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, they do have
you-
that technology. Yeah, you're right.
Do you remember that?
And authenticating the Accord.
Read a guide.
I cheated on the first day or the first couple days when that worked.
Wow, I'm
Yeah.
reporting you.
Yep.
You probably had a bunch of liquid courage saved up too, huh?
Yeah, I went over to the Western Plaguelands. I was looking to see if there were any quests I could accept there that would make it better, but I couldn't find any. Authenticating the Accord if your character is turbo juiced right now.
Shit.
But
They
yeah.
only got 3-day bans too, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And
So-
they didn't get their items removed. Really?
Yeah.
I am the knight.
Yeah, my tenfold theory
Batman.
extends to that as well. I think that to revert that many items to like
doesn't sound like
to change them in their
Batman.
databases would just like require something that they don't have or something. Maybe that's why they didn't do it.
Yeah,
You
like,
remember
I
the
just-
beginning of BFA when people
I
were
don't
able to
see
loot
Yeah, my tenfold theory extends to that as well.
Get their items removed.
If your character is turbo juiced.
4 2 items. Unbelievable that they didn't get their items removed, and I'm actually yes. There is a lot of people with screenshots of them just having 4 2 items.
Yeah, so
Oh my god.
you can have a 405 item, honestly, right now, if you've done a renown grind. But the 402s, I think, only came from that bug gating the Accord stuff, right? I guess maybe you could have one from an authenticating the Accord if your character is turbo juiced right now. But
They
yeah,
only got 3-day bans too, right?
yeah,
Yes, and
So-
they didn't get their items removed. Really?
yeah.
I am the knight.
Yeah, my tenfold theory extends to that as well. I think that to revert that many items to like
sound like
to change them in their
Batman.
databases would just like require something that they don't have or something. Maybe that's why they didn't do it.
Yeah,
You remember the the beginning of BF? Unbelievable that they didn't get their items removed, and I'm actually yes. There is a lot of people with screenshots of them just having 4 2 items.
Yeah,
I am the knight.
Yeah, my tenfold theory extends to that as well. I think that to revert that many items to like
sound like
to change them in their
Batman.
databases would just like require something that they don't have or something. Maybe that's why they didn't do it.
Yeah,
You
like,
remember
I
the
just-
beginning of BFA when people
I
were
don't
able to
see
loot
that.
their
That sounds
chest
like
and they
Alfred,
reverted all of those
not
items?
Batman.
They definitely unbelievable that they didn't get their items removed, and I'm actually yes. There is a lot of people with screenshots of them just having 4 2 items.
yeah. So
Oh my god.
you can have a 405 item, honestly, right now, if you've done a renown grind. But the 402s, I think, only came from that bug gating the Accord stuff, right? I guess maybe you could have one from an authenticating the Accord if your character is turbo juiced right now.
shit.
But
They
yeah,
only got 3-day bans too, right?
yeah,
Yes, and
So-
they didn't get their items removed. Really?
yeah.
I am the knight.
Yeah, my tenfold theory extends to that as well. I think that to revert that many items to like
sound like
to change them in their
Batman.
databases would just like require something that they don't have or something. Maybe that's why they didn't do it.
Yeah, like,
You remember
I
the
just-
beginning of BF? Unbelievable that they didn't get their items removed, and I'm actually yes.
It's less good for that reason, though, because the item level on the weapons is weapon DPS, and that's very valuable. So, if they don't fix this, even still, it'll probably get outclassed by like a 390 instead of a 450 like the Nullhide belt would have. But I guess it
Still
maybe
one.
depends on which spec
Still
you're
good.
playing. Yeah, this thing is. Oh, it's definitely still miss right now. You can get your hands on one of these if you're a strength user. that thing is
definitely
miss.
still miss right now.
That being
I have
said,
one.
good chance Blizzard Entertainment will fix this one. They fixed the plate agility chest that was dropping. There was a plate chest piece that was dropping with agility on it.
Last time I checked, there was no plate agi users.
Yeah, not since classic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all these bugs are so funny. Like
Yeah.
they're just witnessing so many of their mechanics in their own game get finished and live time. And just, nothing beats that.
Yeah. It is wild as well because like items are so standardized right now, right? It's like every item has the same item level has the same amount of primary stamina and secondary total, right? And then
Yeah.
like you just show what happens if you mess with that formula a little bit. Items are super bis. Yeah. That's
Oh,
funny.
this is extremely
Vishnu Allah.
unnecessary. But did you guys know that usually items of the same stat numbers total, there's usually one item that has one more total stat than others, like on
Yeah.
rings,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I guess of rounding up or something. I don't know how it happens, but
Bass Pro Shops Guideware features Gore-Tex technology with the protection you need from the elements, so you can stay on the water and catch the big ones. The all-weather, all-performance Bass Pro
God is
Shops
watching.
Guideware, because there are no rain checks out here.
At Crutchfield, we sell stuff that makes life fun. and we've been doing it differently since 1974.
Whether you're looking to get better sound in your car or the latest TV to enjoy your favorite movies,
we're all about giving you the info and guidance you need to buy the right gear for you.
We offer free lifetime tech support on everything we sell. We mean everything, and we mean lifetime.
Check us out at crutchfield.com to experience a totally different way to shop electronics online.
Attack that target.
I
Yeah,
always thought that was funny.
that is funny. As item level changes, there can be a ring that's like one has one more haste than the other one, and then 3 item levels later, it's like, okay, now the other one has one more verse than the other one. That's weird. Yeah. All right, let's move on to talking about our raid predictions. Tettles, I think a lot of these are yours. You wanna make the first?
Well, some of these are mine. Some of these I sourced from other people.
Okay, cool. You wanna lob the first take?
I think that there will be 8 melee on Razageth. The first time we will see 8 melee on an in-boss kill in a very long time.
Let me go check the history books and see when the last time that happened was. Why do you think that'll happen?
So here's the deal with. Okay, so first off, it is hard to slot in this many melee just generally. So seeing this many would be pretty unprecedented. Not only that, but melee run into issues where there are melee healers that also take up slots from them, like Holy Paladins and Mistweaver Monks. But melee the amount of DPS that some of these melee specs are doing right now is very, very high.
All right. The last time we had 8 melee, I believe, was Gul'dan. Was the last fight where Exorcist played. They played 3 rogues, 2 warriors, Ret Pally, a DH, a DK, and had 8 melee in on that encounter. Yeah.
Dude, this tier just feels like. Do you guys remember Uldir?
Yeah.